World of Warcraft's legacy is still being written, and whether that ends for better or worse, for many, the memory of experiencing World of Warcraft for the first time, especially so during vanilla, is still palpable nearly 20 years later. Though many have tried, that initial experience can't be replicated, and never will. Some vanilla veterans opted out of the classic release entirely. They had their vanilla experience and chose to leave it at that. But the game has been shook. The fringe bled into the mainstream, and I couldn't be more hyped. Enough so to launch this channel, starting with having these kinds of discussions regarding World of Warcraft Classic, Season of Discovery. Modded titles, ROM hacks, and the like very often share something in common for a long while in their lifespan. Limited information exists, and finding assistance to roadblocks can be harder to accomplish. These modding communities and consumers are plenty, but for various reasons they are still in a very niche, fringe genre of gaming. We've seen times in history when game devs either empowered or adopted this genre, Bethesda with the mod store, Blizzard's map-making engines for StarCraft and Warcraft, Halo's Forge and supporting player-made multiplayer playlists and maps. Doom fully reinvigorated its title when they dropped the source code for all to use. These kinds of events tend to be rare, but when they do happen, it often has dramatic effects, enhancing, mainstreaming, and/or improving a game experience in a mod-like fashion, opposed to an expansion, provides an opportunity to explore and create within the confines of a world and system already, at least in some part, understood. The spice is these old, tried-and-true understandings of what's most effective can be changed based on the new findings, permitting new combinations that will one day become what we know as the meta. Some people, we will call this group explorers, both thrive and derive joy from the discovery and creation of the meta. A YouTube channel called Extra Credits does a great job explaining Bartle's taxonomy of player types. I'll link the video below. It is only a theory, but it's a solid and sensible framework to organize groups based on players' motivations for playing a video game. It goes: achievers, explorers, killers, and socializers. In the context of retail World of Warcraft, achievers are mythic raid and key pushers. Explorers have joined the WoW secret finding Discord and are responsible for most data mining that happens. Killers are found in arena or BGs, and socializers, well, they have a very special place in any MMORPG. They use guild chat a lot, are often in Discord voicing with guildies, and the kind of player who comments on the weather while waiting for the boat to arrive beside a stranger. Players can have traits from multiple groups, but most often fall primarily into one category. All games, even fighting games, known for their 1v1 competitive nature, can attract all four groups. Achievers will try to win tournaments and be the first to perfectly execute a new optimal combo. Explorers will lab characters and combos, theorizing and using tool-assisted software to test the optimal combos that the achievers will master. Killers are common, given the FGC's competitive nature, and socializers just want to play with people. Win or lose, it's fun with others, and they often find themselves organizing and running the events that the communities enjoy. For the first time in a long time, World of Warcraft in its classic iteration will be fully primed to satisfy all of the explained taxonomy of players. For achievers, no hard mode raids or dungeons have been announced, and that may leave them the most lacking in deliverance, but many achievers are also completionists, trying to obtain a certain set of gear, learn all the known profession recipes for their profession, or in Season of Discovery's case, obtaining all the runes to come. Explorers are probably getting it best. It's right in the name. It's their season to explore and discover things. I suspect killers are going to see zone-wide combat, the likes not seen since Terran Mill versus South Shore battles of old. And zones like Ashenvale aren't just a one-off. Arathi Basin, perhaps an area of the Alterac Mountains, will also host PvP-oriented content and special events, with special rewards relating to their reputation vendors. We can start making a lot of speculations of what's to come, but I don't want to delve too far now, just enough to say, I think we have good things headed our way. Finally, socializers will be back at home. A world familiar, but with new secrets and findings. So when the newbie asks, "Whoa, where'd you get that piece of gear?" they're not only thrilled to send them in the right direction, but offer to aid them in their quest to obtain it. Role-playing and social interaction opportunities will be plenty. I just want to highlight that every category of player will find something new from Season of Discovery while still taking place in the magical place that is WoW Classic. Others have put it more eloquently than I, researching the why it happens, but there is something especially magical about Classic vanilla World of Warcraft. Take advantage of this brief time in a game's history, a game that so happened to take the world by its balls in 2004, a real opening of a Pandora's box. I won't promise a replication of that time, but this is about as close as I believe we'll ever get. Private servers have been experimenting since 2007, and there has always been a sect of players that played or at least tried out these third-party servers, but there are also a lot of players that didn't and still haven't. High ping due to server locations, client instabilities and bugs, and the legal gray area surrounding downloading and playing to begin with, the list does go on. We can effectively wipe those concerns clean, and I suspect the end product will be a version of WoW that appeals to and sticks with many players for a while to come. Everyone may head into a game where things are not fully understood and metriced into perfection and see what they find, creating builds that generate personal interest in approaching the world. Be the first to find a certain rune, and be the hero to share that knowledge with your guild. While I'm on this subject, I advise against trying to answer what's going to be topping the numbers this early. There's too much unknown to start trying to create certainty in building your character, and that's the very essence of what will make this a community-wide treat. Obtain enough information to make an informed decision regarding your class, and it's okay to row the data mining boat, catching every bit of info dropped. I almost feel entirely safe encouraging folks to play any race and class combo they find most visually pleasing, as things like race-specific priest skills and weapon skill ratios are being addressed to avoid making the wrong choice at character creation.
Wrong!
Further changes like Alliance getting Wind Fury via Feral Druids, and Paladins getting Tremor Totem and Seal of the Martyr, which will act like a mana battery to the classes that need one, like a Shadow Priest, is suggests now more than ever. Meaningful design was put into offering a journey where you can allow your own playstyle and expression to show, and no one can tell you, at least for a while, that you aren't doing it the best way. When we uncover the 100 plus more runes over the course of the season, all the hours of prep and finalizing what you're going to play to the T prior to then aren't going to matter. Of course, it won't take long for all that information to become available, so try to enjoy the mystery while you can. More recent data mining discoveries found new profession gear that appears to have dramatic implications regarding finalizing builds. One piece was leather hands with increased armor, spell power, and an on-use that increased threat generation. My first thought, rightfully so, was Moonkin tanks, right? Then reason suggested design intentions towards early level shaman tanking, but who's to say a Moonkin tank can't happen? Blizzard has outright said that they can't wait to see what players are going to cook up, and I am too. Personally, I can't wait for the PvP montages. I can only imagine the kinds of gear that will exist that further alters what we can do with our classes by the end of the season at level 60. Because the possibilities are so plenty, and the knowledge so immediately limited, players are better off experimenting in hopes of discovering what works as a collective, rather than finding an online guide telling them what to choose. You can have a voice and hand in the matter, and there's a very real chance you can discover something game-changing that no one else put together. This sensation of discovery is a driving force for many gamers, and to nearly all gamers, succeeding in something your way is more gratifying than following another. Classic isn't hard in the traditional sense. Min-maxing its entirety just isn't necessary unless you are trying to break some record speedruns. Trying to build at 25, 40, 50, and 60 will be interesting periods, whether that's increasing your hybridization or further investing in a more narrow concept, like a massive health pool leech tank, or an unmoving ranged cannon. The content is easy enough to allow lots of wiggle room, that if you choose to take a utility-based spell over more damage, you wouldn't be wrong in making that choice. Clearing a friendly target CC, increasing movement speed, or simply a spot off heal can change fights, and it's okay to try to offer your group something unique and outside whatever current meta exists. There are, and certainly will be more to come, videos and guides detailing the best X thing for X class. If the knowledge seeker in you must know, consume after understanding your class, rather than relying on them to instruct how to play the class. These guides can prove highly useful for increasing your numbers, but along the way, the opportunity for creative expression is lost when treated as gospel. I'm not advising you to not watch, like, and comment on videos, but I do want to stress the reality that sole reliance on guides at such time may hinder what could otherwise be a fun, creative experience for you. Become a stalwart warrior, or a wizened mage, or a devout priest. Learn your skills and natural limitations, then consume the aforementioned knowledge with intent to break those limitations. Or, by all means, import and adopt builds as you desire. There is no wrong way to play a game like this one, save maliciously hurting someone else's experience. And the best X for X guides are going to keep coming because it's one of the most fun aspects of Season of Discovery. Theorizing and creating wild builds. Like, look at this. Look at this. So, how would I suggest getting the very most out of Season of Discovery? First order of business is trying to round up the gang. Now is a great time to bring classic newbies along. They will have genuine opportunities to contribute to the experience, rather than being carried along their journey because you already know everything. Veterans, too, have more than a half dozen reasons to get stuck back in. Second, do a little research and get hyped about what class you want to play. Class identity is a very real thing, and playing your class well gets around a server quickly. Claiming anything will be best at X role at this point is an impossibility. So, flavor of the month decisions are out of the window. Go with your heart. And what you want to offer the world around you. WoW is an MMORPG, with meaningful design put into prompting players to engage. And for a while, information will be the most valuable loot. Sharing is caring, and you'll need 39 other players come raid time eventually. So consider how you want to engage with potential friends and against foes. Finally, go into the game with an explorer's mentality. That empty house too many hardcore night elves have swam past on the way to Westfall may now contain something neat. Explore it. Players will have a wide range of combinations to create new builds from. Explore them. As the game progresses, lots of build guides, highlight videos, and, God's willing, PvP videos will flood the media platforms, serving as inspiration, ideally, in the same vein as innovative players like Drake Dog, Zelgratis, Swifty, Taku, and more did in the days now long gone. Explore these, too, and see what your peers are up to and learning. You may find an aspect of the game or a nuance of your class potential you hadn't considered, and become the better for it. It's hard to not delve right into the detailed what-ifs regarding Season of Mastery and all that could be done. It's just so fun, and easily fueled by hopium. But I do want to address what Season of Discovery's release implies for the future of classic World of Warcraft, and perhaps the approach of all Blizzard titles. We know that by releasing under the classification of a season, it allows changes and versions of what we know this is, Classic Plus. Again, ignoring the specific logistics regarding how and when the season ends, where characters go afterwards, and of course, what's next, Season of Honor. I believe what Season of Discovery could mean is multifaceted. We've heard year after year from Blizzard developers, across their multiple titles, claim that they were listening to their player base, when actions suggested differently. Suddenly, post the atrocity that was Shadowlands, after becoming the most hated company in the medium, and finally getting acquired by Microsoft, all their actions seem to suggest they aren't only listening, but delivering. I think the success of Classic in general was a big lesson that made the modern-day Blizzard accept that giving the player base what they are asking for works sometimes. Hardcore servers act as a case in point. From a, perhaps, new, enlightened stance, it even makes business sense to discern what players are doing that is different than what you offer, and streamline it to add it to the list of sub fees. When Nostalria shut down, we can safely assume many of those players purchased subs and played official Classic servers. I suspect something similar will happen to many private servers like Ascension and Turtle WoW, without even the need to forcibly shut them down. By offering what the competition does on an official platform, they further condense their MMO player base, increase their subs, and cripple other distributors using the Warcraft IP. And it all starts with giving players what they are clearly interested in doing. Discerning this will become substantially harder, though, as without private servers to offer unique experiences and learning what changes manage to keep thousands of players happily playing, there is less study material to see what already works. Without these to spark a foundation, I expect a lot of grounded experimentation for future seasons, and I'm sure it's already started with Season of Discovery. The Classic community has already proven to be very vocal regarding Season of Discovery. I don't see this changing, and I expect valuing the voices of the players will become more and more important to the Classic development team when it comes to deliverance. That does wrap up what I wanted to initially address regarding Season of Discovery. There is so much to think on, theorize, and talk about, and I can't wait to share and talk about it, especially as servers go live. I'll be doing that a lot primarily on my stream. If you've listened this long, I'd love to hear what taxonomy of player type you fall into, and what aspect of the game has you most excited in the comments below. Thank you for being here, and until our paths meet again, fond farewell.